Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 200. Without any delay, start explanation. What was that? The droplets of golden water diffused to form something akin to a peacock spreading its feathers. While it was dazzling, it was also confusing to the eyes. It seemed like there was the soft echo of a dragon's roar. Shrek Academy's inner court females were not easy to deal with, for every single one of them was exceedingly powerful. Even though the change happened abruptly, each and every one of them reacted to the situation swiftly. Soul power in a variety of colors erupted with radiance all at once. The Sea God Pavilion Master Atlas Dolor Yunming, sitting cross-legged in the middle of the tower ship, suddenly smiled. This is Tang Sect's technique of peacock spreading its feathers. It is rare to see someone cultivating the stealth technique. He pretends to aim at a target, while in reality, he's shooting at another. This is interesting. The maidens had already dispersed all the golden water droplets during the time it took for him to speak. It was precisely at that moment when streams of water spurted from beneath the females who were still wearing their bamboo hats. These water spurts came in a sudden manner, but the timing was perfect, such that it caught the females off guard when the peacock spreading its feathers dissipated. It was amazing how male number 51's timing had achieved the level of perfection. He was aware that it was impossible to remove all the bamboo hats with his power under ordinary circumstances, so he exploited the female's psyche. With his magnificent peacock spreading its feathers technique to attract everyone's attention, he used the water droplets to launch an attack from below at the crucial moment. Poof, 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 one after another, the bamboo hats were blasted away, revealing the surprised, charming faces. There were only two figures reacting to the situation. One of the figures leaped to dodge the spurting water, while the other vanished during the split second the water was about to hit her. She then reappeared after the water spurt had flashed past. Meanwhile, the rest of the bamboo hats were blasted away in one strike. This was a huge turn of events that no one expected. For a moment, even Lan Muzi and Tang Yingmeng were staring in bewilderment. What happened? 29 out of 31 females' bamboo hats were removed after the first segment of the match made in heaven, much to everyone's surprise. Such an outcome had never happened before during the previous year's date festival. Just the two of them, male number 2, Yu Jingyu, and the mysterious male number 51, had unveiled half of the females. The bamboo hat on Yuan and Yehue's head was blasted away too, for the water spurt that came from below was too sudden that there was utterly no way she could dodge. She had only caught a glimpse of the golden light flashing underneath the water before it disappeared in the male's direction afar. Dayuna was similarly shocked at the turn of events. She was here with Long Yu. How could she ever miss such a fun date festival? Her little mouth parted, forming the shape of an O on her cute, expressive face. Leave aside male number 51's power. His brilliant idea and precise timing are rather unique. Shrek Academy is truly a place with people of exceptional and unique talents. No wonder we were defeated by them back then. What a waste that guy has yet to return. How awesome it'll be if he's here too. The 6 females whose faces were revealed were also in shock. There remained only female number 17 and female number 18, who narrowly escaped the water spurts with their hats still on. Male number 51 retreated back to his lotus leaf. Golden light flashed past his body vaguely, as if something had fused into his body and vanished. What an ingenious idea. Junior, you've won. Aren't you going to take this opportunity to reveal yourself? Lan Muzi asked male number 51 smilingly. Male number 51 shook his head as before. Lan Muzi smiled faintly. All right then. We respect your decision. I'm announcing the end of the match made in heaven segment. I presume that our fellow juniors have gained some familiarity with each other through this recent segment. There are 5 males who chose to keep their identities a secret. On the female side, there are only 2 females still wearing their bamboo hats, much to my surprise. I presume that everyone can guess their identities by now. Do you wish to unveil yourselves now? The outer court disciples had no inkling who the 2 females were. There were only 2 females who had yet to make an appearance at the moment. One was the silver dragon spear goddess Enea, while the other was Shrek 7 Monsters leading personage Guu. There was no doubt that they were female number 17 and 18. The mystery was gone. So, it did not make much sense for them to continue wearing their bamboo hats. Lan Musi noticed that they shook their heads, so he did not pester them any further. All right then. We are about to begin the second segment of the Sea God's Lake Date Festival. It's known as Love at First Sight. Next, in the second segment, Tang Yingmeng spoke with a loud and clear voice. After the introduction to each other during the first segment, the following segment is for the females to express their liking for a certain male. Thus, our second segment is known as Love at First Sight. The rules are simple. Each female will be given a switchboard to control the soul lighting beneath the male students. They will flip a switch for the male student they fancy. The male student whose light is on will remain until the following segment. Otherwise, for the male student whose light is not on, we're very sorry, but you'll have to leave the event alone. The second segment took the shortest time, but it was a crucial test for male students. In this segment, no matter how powerful a male student was or how extraordinary he thought he was, as long as no female student chose to turn on his light, then he would be immediately eliminated from the event. After all, the number of male students exceeded the females. Thus, this segment was meant to be a do-or-die situation. Yu Jingyu occupied the foremost position, for he was the first person to bear the brunt. This was because male number 1 was already eliminated after falling into the water. Fellow sea gods, fair maidens, please consider carefully before making a decision. I'll be giving you a minute. Do consider mindfully. In addition, I would like to emphasize that if everyone chooses not to light up for any of the 50 male students here, this signifies that all of you choose to forsake this date festival and withdraw from Sea God's Lake. Lan Musi solemnly reminded the participants so that the females participating in the event for the first time would seriously consider their options and the opportunity given to them. The soul lighting beneath the participants' feet on both sides were all extinguished. In the next moment, the soul lighting underneath Yu Jingyu's feet was lighted. Will the ladies please light up for male number 2, Lan Musi announced. Soon after, streams of light beams were swiftly illuminated. In the blink of an eye, a total of 16 soul lights were illuminated. In other words, more than half of the females chose to switch on the light for Yu Jingyu. It was obvious that Xu Xiaoyan was slightly infuriated, but the lighting underneath her feet was also turned on. Lan Musi smiled and spoke. Jingyu is popular as expected. 16 illuminated lights is truly impressive. He made a good start for everyone. Next, will male student number 3 please come forward? The number of illuminated lights was recorded by the professional staff for the convenience of the following segments. Soon, the males began to be eliminated. It seemed like cultivation base was not the prime factor that influenced a female's judgment, for the females still illuminated the lights of males with weaker cultivation bases. Good looks were the influencing factor. The females were allowed multiple choices for this segment. A short male screamed in agony after being eliminated. This is a world that believes in appearances only. Without further ado, it was Xie Xie's turn. He relied on his good looks and reputation of being one of the Shrek 7 monsters to receive 9 lights. Although he was not as impressive as Yu Jingyu, the approvals he received were still substantial. Nonetheless, he was elated because the light that belonged to Yuan and Yehui was illuminated as well. No one turned the lights on for the few male students who did not remove their masks. According to custom, usually the males who refused to reveal themselves were not particularly interested in participating in the blind date, or they were likely to have imperfections on their faces or bodies. Hence, the females would rarely turn on the lights for them. Nevertheless, they were still given the opportunity to reveal themselves during the second segment. Luo Guixing, Xu Yucheng, and even Yang Nianxia remained. The second segment of Love at First Sight continued until it was Xu Lishi's turn. The soul lighting under Xu Lishi's feet was turned on, illuminating his chubby body. He had revealed himself since the first segment. There was hardly any difference whether he chose to reveal himself or not. With his body size, he would be identified for certain. Our fellow sea gods, fair maidens, can now decide whether to flip your switch for contestant number 32 or not. prompted Lan Muzi. Not a sound came from the female student's direction. Xu Lishi's chubby face twitched once in a while as his small eyes disclosed a sense of desolation. If he were in another Soul Masters Academy, he would perhaps be the star of the show due to his ability to cultivate a food-type Soul Master into a one-word battle armor master. However, Shrek Academy was a place where the entire continent's monster-level geniuses congregated. He was a food-type Soul Master without having any specialty, so it was truly difficult for him to attract the female's attention. Meanwhile, a light was illuminated. Xu Lishi looked toward the illuminated light and found that it was a light nearer to the side. The light reflected off Yi Xinglan, who was dressed in an inner court disciple's uniform as she stood there quietly. Yi Xinglan was beautiful in her natural look as she did not spend much time dressing up. Instead, she was obsessed with cultivating and spent most of her days immersed in studying the art of swordsmanship. Thus, she did not attract as much attention when compared to Xu Xiaoyan and Yuan and Yehui among the Shrek 7 monsters. Xu Lishi felt a gush of warm blood surging into his brain when he saw the illuminated light. At the same time, 3 more lights were illuminated. Those came from Yuan and Yehui, Xu Xiaoyan, and also female number 17 who had yet to reveal herself. Male number 50's gaze fell upon female number 17 as he stood in the first row. By the look in his eyes, there seemed to be something going on. The excitement in Xu Lishi's eyes dimmed because of the 3 illuminated lights. Those were his comrades, so possibly they illuminated the lights out of sympathy. Are they showing me sympathy? There was some feeling of bitterness in Xu Lishi. Very well. For Sea God Fair Maidens illuminated their lights for male number 32. Now, let's continue. One male student after another came forward in sequence. Each of them had a different result. The rate of being selected was naturally higher for the male students with striking appearances and outstanding powers. Finally, it was down to the second last male. It was the Dragon King Long Yu's turn again. Will everyone please illuminate your lights for contestant number 50? Lan Muzi took a glance at Long Yu standing tall as a mountain with a deep stare in his eyes. Neither a sound was heard nor a movement was seen. All the females stood stoically without any intention to turn on the light. Everyone's expression appeared unusually calm. Although Long Yu was bald, he was not downright ugly. He had a sturdy and tall body with impressive powers. He had already achieved a 7-ring cultivation base at 23 years of age. It may be a level that had been achieved before by others, but it was still an outstanding feat. At least, in the present-day Shrek Academy's inner court, no one was capable of achieving this level of soul power and cultivation base at Long Yu's age. Perhaps it was because he was outstanding, not a single female was willing to illuminate a light for him. I would like to remind everyone again, that if no one chooses to illuminate a light for him, then he will be eliminated from this year's date festival. I would like to advise every Sea God Fair Maiden to reconsider, as your answer will determine his continuation. Tang Yingmeng prompted again, but still, no female from Shrek Academy was willing to illuminate their lights for him. The reason was simple: he was from Star Luo Empire as an exchange student only. Shrek Academy was no exception. The inner court had been circulating the recorded footage from Tang Wulin's previous battle against Star Luo Empire's Monster Academy. The battle was anointed as a classic. At the same time, it was also the sole reason Tang Wulin's comrades were now the Shrek 7 monsters. Long Yu left behind a deep impression on the inner court students. He was considered the antagonist in their hearts. At the same time, as a reminder, there are still a few Sea God Fair Maidens who have yet to illuminate their lights. If this situation continues, then you'll also be withdrawn from today's event after this segment has ended because you've not yet found someone you fancy. Hence, please consider seriously your following choice. Meanwhile, a light was suddenly illuminated. Long Yu's frowning brows relaxed as his lips cracked into a faint smile. The long-anticipated light was finally illuminated. The 18-year-old princess appeared poised and graceful under the reflection. Her aristocratic education had made her a debutante. She had discarded her playfulness, and she now appeared gentle, warm, and immeasurably beautiful. They met each other's gaze. Dai Yuna smiled toward Long Yu. Long Yu smiled as well. His back seemed to straighten at this moment and appeared as an awakened giant beast. So what if all of you don't choose me? I'm fine as long as I'm Yuna's choice. Lan Muzi nodded. Male number 51 is chosen by a sea god fair maiden. So, will our following and last male student reveal himself before the sea god fair maidens decide to illuminate their lights for you? Male number 51 pondered for a moment, then slowly raised his hand to peel away the mask on his face. His head full of long, black hair blew in the wind which draped across his back, revealing his face that was stunningly handsome. It was perfect. His long lashes complemented his crystal-clear eyes. The moment he removed his mask, the entire sea god lake seemed to glow for him. A faint smile emerged on his face. He bowed slightly in salutation while he stood on the lotus leaf. It's been a long time. Lan Muzi and Tang Yingmeng were both stunned for a moment. The male that appeared in their vision was familiar to their eyes, yet they were not entirely sure. This person should be a stranger, he should not even be in the inner court if their memories served them. Yet, he was certainly an inner court disciple with the Academy's approval if he was standing there in front of them. Who was he? Is that you? Captain? Big brother? Oh. The sounds of people gasping in surprise echoed across the surface of Sea God Lake. It came from the male's side as well as the opposite side, which was bustling in chaos. There were 3 females who leaped up from their lotus leaves immediately. Xu Xiaoyan shrieked in surprise, Wu Sidwa gasped, while Dai Yuna abandoned her prim and proper image. The person who screamed, "It's you," was Long Yu. He was just standing next to him. It was Xie Xie, Yu Jingyu, and Xu Lishi who shouted, "Captain," and "Big brother." There were also those shocked and incredulous gazes from the others. The older generation of the inner court disciples was not so familiar with male number 51. However, none of the newly joined inner court disciples who were not acquainted with him. He chose to remove his mask at this moment because he was afraid that he would miss the chance. On the other hand, his decision to reveal himself caused a commotion at the date festival. "I'm very sorry, Junior. You don't appear familiar. If it's all right with you, can you please tell us your name?" Tang Yingmeng looked at the teenager who was so remarkably handsome. Even though he was not as big and tall as Long Yu by his side, he had a slender figure with such a handsome face. Furthermore, he had such charisma that made others attracted to him. Male number 51 nodded. His face cracked into a charming smile. "Hello, seniors. Of course, my name's Tang Wulin." He was indeed known as the class monitor of the Outer Court's genius class, the influential personage of the Outer Court and the former captain of the current generation's Shrek 7 monsters. He once led his team to defeat the 8 heavenly kings of Star Luo Empire's Monster Academy. He was none other than Tang Wulin. Male number 51 was precisely Tang Wulin. After witnessing Feng Wuyu's capture, he had rushed back in time. He was the last person to join this year's Sea God Lake Date Festival, hence the last participant. He had returned. Long Yu stared at Tang Wulin standing by his side with an unbelievable look. He did not expect to see Tang Wulin at this moment either. If he were asked who he was most unwilling to meet now, there was no doubt that it would be this guy by his side. At least, he should not run into him at Sea God's Lake Date Festival. The overcast on his face was growing darker as Long Yu watched Dai Yuna danced with joy on the opposite side. Tang Wulin nodded toward Long Yu. "Brother Long, it's been ages since I saw you last. I didn't expect that our meeting to be in such a situation. Welcome to Shrek Academy." Long Yu only nodded, but he did not speak. "Tang Wulin?" Tang Yingmeng muttered to herself the name that had the same family name as hers. In the next moment, she gasped suddenly and exclaimed, "You're Tang Wulin." At present, even those inner court disciples who had never met Tang Wulin before had recollections who this person was. His Tang Wulin. Almost everyone's gaze was fixated on him. He was a legend to many because the situation of a missing outer court student who was then immediately endorsed by Shrek Academy to be an inner court student upon his appearance had never happened before. The footage of how he led his squad during the Star Luo Empire's Continental Young High-Ranking Soul Masters Elite competition was the account which inner court disciples took delight in discussing over and over again. He had returned much to everyone's surprise, after 3 long years. Furthermore, he participated in Sea God's Lake Date Festival promptly upon his return. Most people remembered the formidable power he displayed when he led his comrades to defeat their mighty opponents. However, today was different. Everyone on the scene paid attention to his looks instead. He had a strikingly handsome and charming countenance that he closely embodied perfection. He was just too good-looking. He was more an adult now as compared to 3 years ago. His physique had matured completely. He had wide shoulders, muscular arms, and a supple waist. His thick, long hair flowed across his back. He was beaming like a ray of sunshine. His gaze looked toward his comrades as he acknowledged them one by one. When every single one of those Shrek 7 monsters who were influential people in their own right saw him, they seemed to turn childlike at that instant. Xie Xie and Xu Xiaoyan, in particular, looked as if they were going to pounce him and release their pent-up feelings for all those years he was not around. How did he have such charisma? All right. Will everyone please decide if you're willing to light up for our junior Tang Wulin? Lan Muzi continued to push through with the event while simultaneously nudging his girlfriend from her stupor. It was only then Tang Yingmeng reacted and chuckled softly. The guy is awfully handsome. If I were younger by 10 years, perhaps I might even be lighting up for him during the date festival then. I'm jealous. Lan Muzi whispered into her ears with a vicious tone. In response, Tang Yingmeng gathered next to his ear and mentioned something to him. Then, Lan Muzi's expression froze as he looked at her in surprise. Soon after, his face changed to fill with joy. Oh my God! This is simply amazing. Why did you wait until now to tell me this? Yingmeng, I love you. He completely lost control of his emotions as he hugged Tang Yingmeng. His eyes were red. The females were deciding if they should illuminate their lights when they suddenly took note of what transpired. Everyone was feeling baffled as to what was happening, that the event was abruptly interrupted. All right. We'll talk more when we return home. Tang Yingmeng hastily reminded him. All of a sudden, Lan Muzi came to his senses. He quickly let her loose but could hardly contain the immense joy that he felt. I'm very sorry to interrupt such an important event. However, I must say that I'm the happiest person in the world right now. Earlier, when Junior Tang Wulin made his appearance, Menjing told me that she would perhaps illuminate her light for Wulin if this event had been a decade ago. I immediately told her that I was jealous. Then, she told me that she's pregnant with our child. Oh. That's why I can't help myself. I'm truly joyous. He suddenly turned around as he was saying that and gave Tang Yingmeng a long kiss. Her face immediately turned scarlet and she lightly pounded him a few times. The loving ambience affected everyone at Sea God's Lake. When Lan Muzi told Tang Yingmeng that he was jealous, her reply was, I'm pregnant. It was such an unexpected turn of events. All right, our Sea God's fair maidens, please make your choice to illuminate your lights for male number 51. Tang Yingmeng took control of her emotions and spoke immediately. The elders of Sea God's pavilion were watching. Although it was fine for them to express their sentiments, it was still embarrassing and awkward. Lights were illuminated. However, no one expected the first light to be illuminated by female number 18. There was a total of 31 females on the scene, yet there were 2 people who had not illuminated their lights at all from the beginning till the end. They were female number 18 and female number 11. Female number 11 was Hel Wu Sidwa, but how about female number 18? As for female number 17, she had only illuminated her light once earlier for Shu Lishi. At the moment, number 18 took the lead to illuminate her light. Then, it was followed by number 11 Wu Sidwa, and then number 19 Dai Yuna. They had illuminated their soul lightings simultaneously. Soon after, the lights were illuminated in succession. In the time it took to catch a few breaths, a dozen lights were already illuminated. Except for a few older females, Yuan and Yehui, Xu Xiaoyan, and Yi Xinglan, almost all the females' lights were illuminated for Tang Wulin. There was a total of 18 lights, a total which exceeded Yu Zhengyu's. Yu Zhengyu was already considered handsome. In addition, He was filled with the holy aura. However, he was still inferior when compared to Tang Wulin, whether it was his looks or skills. There was nothing Yu Jingyu could do about his looks. On the one hand, the holy aura of Yu Jingyu was filled with brightness, while on the other, Tang Wulin's was filled with vitality with a mysterious touch. Wow, 18 lights. I imagine the confrontation during the following segment will certainly be exciting. Lan Muzi looked at the females in astonishment. There was no doubt that Tang Wulin broke a new record, as even those inner court females who were unacquainted with him were also attracted. Lan Muzi could not help thinking, Tang Wulin is just like my peer, Wu Zhongkong. It's such an advantage to be good-looking. No, he's far better than Wu Zhongkong because he has better looks and skills. In any case, he's Wu Zhongkong's disciple. This hierarchy issue is truly perplexing. Tang Wulin did not expect so many females to illuminate their lights for him, yet his gaze fell upon female number 17. Number 17's light was not illuminated. Indeed, number 17 was not among the 18 illuminated lights. Tang Wulin frowned slightly, but he did not utter a word. He was not certain if his judgment was correct. Lan Muzi spoke, very well. Everyone has chosen. The males whose lights were not illuminated, I'm sorry, but you'll have to leave. We're about to begin the third segment. After the initial match made in heaven and love at first sight, we are about to begin the next segment of the Sea God's Lake Date Festival. After this segment, every prospect's dream will become crystal clear. Our fellow juniors will understand their cherished loves even more. Hence, the following segment that we're about to begin is known as Love at Second Sight. This time, the females will have to pay more focus because you can't simply make a choice like earlier. You must be responsible for your choice. Every male will be given 1 minute for self-introduction. After the self-introduction, the male shall come over to my side and present to me the number of the fair maiden you fancy. On the other hand, the females shall begin the choosing process. Your choice this time will be your final choice. Every female is given only one chance to choose, so you can't change your mind later. We shall begin the fourth segment after the choice is made. Our fellow males, please take note that when you are introducing yourselves, you're also allowed to display your powerful skills, the level of your cultivation base, etc. You can mention anything about yourself so long as you feel that it's good enough to attract the female you fancy. This time, we're going to determine the sequence by drawing lots so that it's fair for all the participants. There was an air of anxiety at once. If the first two segments were described as exploratory, then, the third segment, Love at Second Sight, would be the implementation. A choice once made could not be easily changed. This was especially significant among the females. They only had one chance to choose and it would be final. There could be no further change. Usually, they could estimate the number of couples that would remain by the end of this segment. It was also the segment with the most eliminations. It was rare for the Sea God's Lake Date Festival to bring about more than 10 couples. Nearly half of the participants would withdraw by themselves. Naturally, the majority of the males were eliminated because they were not chosen by the females. However, if multiple females chose the same male, then there would be further competition. A box appeared in Lan Muzi's hand as he spoke to Tang Yingmeng by his side. Yingmeng, you will draw the numbers from this box. Let's see who will be the first male to introduce himself and profess his love. Males, please take note that your time is limited. Prioritize the things you need to do. Take my advice from someone with the experience in this. Sometimes, heartfelt confessions are better than displaying your skills. Be bold and don't miss the opportunity. Tang Yingmeng had already drawn a lot number from the box while Lan Muzi was speaking. The first person to come forward to introduce himself is number 32. Male number 32, please. The lotus leaves parted, revealing male number 32. The lotus leaf underneath male 32's feet slowly moved forward to bring him to the front position, placing him before everyone. The male participant swayed and almost fell into the water as he stood on the lotus leaf. Isn't that Xu Lixi? Number 32 was indeed Xu Lixi. His gaze appeared dull and his expression indescribable. He clasped his hands before him in a distracted state of mind. When he realized that Tang Wulin had returned, his heart was filled with excitement similar to his comrades', while at this moment, he felt perplexed. He could clearly see that Yi Xinglan, Yuan and Yehui, and Xu Xiaoyan did not illuminate their lights for Tang Wulin, but they illuminated their lights for him. He guessed right about how they were showing him sympathy. Although he felt odd that female number 17 did not illuminate her light for Tang Wulin. However, he could care less about anything else at the moment as his heart felt so heavy. Was it sympathy? Were they showing sympathy for me? Xu Lixi mocked himself. As he stood there, the expression on his face gradually turned calm. "All right, Junior. The time starts now, you can introduce yourself," Lan Muzi announced. "My name is Xu Lixi." Xu Lixi enunciated slowly, "I'm a food-type soul master. I enjoy all food and I'm an inherent foodie. My martial soul is a meat bun. The reason for my body shape. I believe that no one will fancy an obese man. Nevertheless, I'm here. Perhaps making such a bold move will grant me hope as mentioned by Senior Lan. Thus, please allow me to say the following. When I was young, I've already found the love of my life. Yes, it happened when I was young. I love her just like how I fancy delicacies. Due to my being a food-type soul master, I had always been bullied by my classmates. She was the one who protected me every single time and was my guardian angel. Since then, I've always admired her. That's the reason I'm standing here today." Yu Jingyu, Xie Xie, and even Tang Wulin were surprised upon hearing Xu Lixi. They had been unaware of Xu Lixi's feelings all along. How could they not know the person Xu Lixi was talking about? They understood this situation more than anybody else. Xu Lixi seemed to be speaking smoother now. Days passed and we grew day by day. She became stronger as she pursued the perfection of a soul master with determination, while I stayed by her side watching her every day. When I was young, I regarded her as my sister and my guardian angel. Later, I realized that the most important thing in my life is not food, but her. He paused for a moment at this point, then he continued speaking in a solemn tone, "If there's one person I'm willing to go on a diet for, then it's her." The look on all the females' faces changed when he said those words. The words were simple, yet when it came from an obese man whose weight exceeded 100 kilograms and was a food-type soul master, the words definitely surpassed countless whispers of love. Xu Lixi paused for a moment at this point. Lan Muzi took a glance at the time as he was about to remind Xu Lixi that time was up when Tang Yingmeng stopped him. There were already tears shimmering in Tang Yingmeng's eyes. Xu Lixi was silent for a moment before he sighed softly. "I know that I'm not her worthy match. I've always realized that. I once thought that the reason why I love her was possibly due to my lack of motherly love when I was young. I finally realized that it was not a mother's love that I yearned for with the passing of time. I swear on my life that I love her. It's the kind of love between a man and a woman. I genuinely love her. She's so beautiful while I'm so fat. Yet, I love her. Thus, I'll stay by her side every moment. Wherever she is, I'll be there. I'll not leave her for even a single day. Perhaps, today will be the only day I'll ever have the courage to speak from my heart. Everyone may not possibly know how much courage this requires, yet all of you must know that I'm taking the risk of making her embarrassed. However, I'm expressing myself today because I don't want to keep my feelings for her in my heart for the rest of my life. I've never thought that I could succeed, nor have I ever thought that she would love me. After all, there is a huge difference between both of us. Yet, I must tell her that I love her, and she alone in this whole wide world. I'll love her forever. I can only hope that my words today will not be wasted. However, I will not mention her name. I feel much better after having spoken my heart." At this point, Xu Lixi seemed relaxed. He took a hard glance at the female's side. "I don't need sympathy. I only want to stay by your side, if possible. Even if you were to find someone you love one day, I hope we'll remain friends." He took a deep breath until his body seemed to double in size, then shouted as loud as he could, which exhausted almost all his strength, "I love you." He leaped up after saying that and jumped into Sea God's Lake. There was no doubt he understood that he did not stand a chance. After he had expressed his heart, he did not wish to cause any further embarrassment to her life. So, he chose to leave. It was at this moment when a stream of blue light suddenly glowed and wrapped around his fat waist in the air. It was a blue vine. The vine gently pulled Shulishi back just as he was about to hit the water surface of the lake. Then, the vine straightened as it forcefully supported Shulishi's body in the air so that he did not fall. How do you know that you won't succeed then? You're not allowed to leave before you receive the result. Shulishi turned around and looked at Tang Wulin, who was using his blue vine to support Shulishi's body. His chubby face was already covered in tears. Captain. The vine retracted slowly and placed him on top of the lotus leaf gently. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.